Look, I'm going to be completely honest about this. I thought what Wizards owner Sheila Johnson said about Caitlin Clark came off as...
Did a WNBA owner just get caught in the most embarrassing double standard of the season when Washington Mystics owner Sheila Johnson criticized Caitlin Clark's Time magazine cover? She claimed the entire league deserved recognition, not just one player, yet her actions tell a completely different story, and basketball fans everywhere are calling her out. If you've been following the WNBA this year, you know that the league has experienced unprecedented growth. Television ratings are soaring, ticket sales are breaking records, and social media engagement is through the roof. At the center of this explosion of interest is rookie sensation Caitlin Clark, whose transition from college superstar to professional
is the black billionaire owner of the NHL's Washington Capitals, the NBA's Washington Wizards, and the WNBA's Washington Mystics. Johnson said she did not agree with Time magazine making Caitlin Clark the first ever WNBA player to be Athlete of the Year, and with putting Caitlin Clark on the cover.
Where Caitlin
athlete has captivated millions of new fans, but not everyone seemed happy about Clark's meteoric rise. When Time magazine named Clark their Athlete of the Year, Sheila Johnson, who owns the Washington Mystics franchise, appeared on CNN with some choice words about the recognition. Where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year,
Our WNBA should have been chosen as the League of the Year, and that numerous stars should have been put on the cover. She said the WNBA has a long legacy of black stars and that, and I quote, "Something clicked with the WNBA last year because of the draft. It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's Reese," as in, of course, Chicago's.
She didn't stop there.
Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and said the WNBA is the League of the Year because of all the talent that we have? Johnson stated that she didn't end there. Johnson went on to say that it has taken the WNBA nearly 28 years to reach this point, and this year something clicked with the league, and it's because of the players that were drafted. It's not Caitlin Clark, though. It's Angel Reese. There is a lot of untapped talent out there, and I don't think we can just blame one player for it. I feel really bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally talented, and they never got the recognition that they should have, Johnson said, adding a racial element to her critique. Her point was very clear. Praising Clark alone was unjust to other players, especially players of race, and it caused division in the league. When you only single out one person, it breeds animosity. After all, team sports involve more than one player, and the WNBA does have many talented athletes who deserve attention, so these remarks may initially seem like a reasonable call for collective recognition over individual accolades. However, context matters, and Johnson's subsequent AC has revealed a startling inconsistency in her position. Let's take a look at what happened next. The situation was exactly the same. A major publication singled out one WNBA player for individual recognition, but Johnson said absolutely nothing this time. No CNN interview, no passionate plea that Time should have recognized all the women of the WNBA instead of just Wilson, and her complete silence spoke volumes about what was really motivating her previous criticism of Clark's recognition. Time magazine recently announced A.A. Wilson as one of their Women of the Year, celebrating her extraordinary contributions to women's basketball. This prestigious individual recognition placed Wilson in the exact same position Clark had been in just months earlier, a single player receiving recognition for her accomplishments. WNBA player Lexi Brown publicly called out the double stand posting, highlighting the stark discrepancy. When Wilson received a similar individual honor, Johnson had no issue with it at all. In contrast, when Clark received an individual honor, Johnson was quick to publicly minimize it and suggest it should have been a team award. May we please stop taking steps backwards? If the issue was genuinely about fairness and team cohesion, her dissatisfaction mirrored what many players and supporters were considering. Why did that worry just arise during Clark's public appearance? The hypocrisy is even more glaring when you consider Johnson's real business choices surrounding Caitlin Clark, which are in direct opposition to her public declarations. The Washington Mystics will now play their home games against the Indiana Fever Clarks team at CFG Bank Arena in Baltimore, Johnson recently announced. This isn't just any venue change, though. It more than triples their capacity, rising from the entertainment and sports arena's small 4,200 seats in a venue that can accommodate about 14,000 spectators. The chosen application, not just the alteration itself, is what makes this choice so illuminating. Johnson didn't pick games against several elite teams or declare a permanent relocation to a bigger stadium for all Mystics games. Instead, this venue change was directed at a single team. The Indiana Fever, which includes with nearly 10,000 extra tickets available per game, all likely to be sold at premium prices given the demand for Clark's games, the financial implications of the very player Johnson had publicly suggested wasn't solely responsible for the league's growing popularity are impossible to ignore. Conservative estimate suggests millions of additional ticket revenue from just these games alone, all driven by the drawing power of the very player Johnson had attempted to downplay. Basketball fans immediately recognized the contradiction, and social media erupted with call-outs highlighting the discrepancy between Johnson's words and her actions. One fan didn't hold back. Isn't this the same owner that minimized CeCe's influence and is now taking advantage of the ticket sales? Their owner didn't appear to want to give Caitlin any credit for the women's basketball movement, but she's okay with the extra money from the games, so someone else pointedly asked if the Mystics should shift all of their games there. In a nutshell, one fan asked, "Wait, why just the Fever games? Why not every game, or are you choking on your words about the face of the league?" These weren't just online trolls. They were WNBA fans who understood the contradiction between disparaging individual recognition and, to be fair, profiting from individual star power. Johnson is not the only WNBA team that has changed the location of Fever games. Other teams have also done the same. The only difference is that those teams initially appeared on national television to downplay Clark's personal influence on the league. They didn't imply that praising one player would cause animosity. They just acknowledged the facts. When the Fever played the Mystics last year, attendance averaged about 4,000. But this year, with Clark on the team, games are selling out everywhere she goes, and jersey sales for the game are skyrocketing. The numbers speak for themselves. Television ratings for Fever games have tripled, and Clark has increased by an incredible 1,000%. These are not simply remarkable numbers. They are transformative stats that show how one player can raise the reputation and financial prospects of an entire league. What's most remarkable is how Clark herself handled all of this in her Time magazine interview, choosing to take the high road rather than retaliating against Johnson or becoming embroiled in needless drama. Clark placed a strong emphasis on players respecting one another and rejected any notions of envy inside the league. She advocated for peaceful confidence in her own journey, rather than defensiveness or counterattacks. The difference between what Johnson said and what Clark said says a lot. One attempted to downplay a personal accomplishment and paint it as potentially damaging, while the other displayed grace under duress and refused to be used as a bait to sow discord. Johnson's decision to change the